To
To
another
another
week
week
of
of
You
You
Champions.
Champions. Ooh, that was a little echoey. Sorry about that. Welcome, everybody. How's it going? Genesis, Mariana, Elias, Dana, Dulce, Caitlin, Ashley, Jenny, Allison. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's class. We're going to be talking a little bit about problem solving. So, how do you approach problems? What are some methods, some processes you can use to help solve them? How do you break down bigger problems into kind of smaller problems? So as the rest of the class is trickling in here, we're going to pop open our poll for this week, which is related to exactly what we're talking about. So as always, I'll have you all answer some of these. I'm going to ask you all some questions about it, maybe ask for some specific examples from things you're facing. In the meantime, while you're doing this, if you are a student leader, go ahead and put SL in there. Make sure you have your name correct. If you are an alumni, go ahead and put that in there. Thank you all for joining us. Appreciate it. The first question here, when you face a problem, what's your first instinct? Do you try to fix it right away? Maybe ask for advice? Think about what caused the root, kind of the root of the problem? Maybe ignore it, hope it goes away. Hopefully you don't do that every time, but I've done it before for sure too. Number two on here, which step do you think people skip most often when solving problems? So what do people just skip over entirely, do you think? Doesn't have to be for yourself. And number three here, which phrase best describes your problem solving style? You try to do it quick. This is kind of related to that first question, but do you jump straight to the solutions, dig in and find the cause, try to make like detailed steps, kind of breaking it down like we talked about, or just improvise, kind of figure it out as you go? Looks like just over half of you have it in. Oh, okay, a whole bunch coming in now. I'll give you all just another 10 seconds or so to finish up. Welcome everyone else who's trickling in. And we'll stop this. Get your last answers in. We'll stop it in three, two, one. Ending the poll, sharing results here. Hopefully, can you see the results on the screen, everybody? Your thumbs up? Yeah? All right, cool. So, first question here. When you face a problem, what is your first instinct? How about Camilla? What did you answer for this first one here?
So what I put for that question, I put think about what caused it first.
What comes at first? Okay, can you think of an example maybe in your life where something popped up, a problem first of all, and how you approached it like that? Like trying to
I,
find the root cause.
I guess today, like in my math class, like I was having trouble with a math problem, and I didn't want to ask someone or like burden them and I would rather think about it myself first.
Okay, so you didn't want to bug them basically about it, so you wanted to think about it first and kind of like, okay, what's the real issue here or the underlying thing before going to someone else and asking for advice. Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing it. And hopefully you don't feel afraid to ask people, but I do think it's good to think about it first, right? Before asking someone else. Usually if someone asked me, I'd be like, well, what do you think first? And if they haven't even thought about it, I'm like, okay, you're not even trying here. So I love that answer. No wrong answer here, but I do love that answer. Thank you, Camilla. I appreciate it. Actually, why don't I'll have you pick someone else to answer the next question here. Unless someone wants to volunteer, feel free, unmute yourself, raise your hand, pop in. But the second question is, which step do you think most people skip when they're approaching to solve a problem? Camilla, why don't you go ahead and select someone?
Uh,
Can you see everyone
Ge-
on the screen there?
Genesis.
Genesis. The question two here, which step do you think most people skip when they're trying to solve a problem?
Um, I think no, I think the step that most people skip is following through on the plan because I think when they make a plan, yo, I think when they make a plan, they just like maybe like give up like midway or like just don't feel like it's gonna work.
Don't follow through, don't execute on it. Can you think of maybe something you've seen out there where it's like I don't know if it's someone you know or maybe like just something out there where you saw someone had some plan and just never finished it. I know there's this huge building in LA that's all graffitied up that someone never finished. So that's the most obvious example I can think of, but maybe something from your life.
Um, I don't recall like any in the top, like in the back of my head, but
Okay.
I think I might have like not followed the plan sometime in my life. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Maybe yourself you haven't. Sorry, I was just like jumping to that example. Have you all seen that? Is it Evergrande or something like that? That tower that's downtown. It's this huge, huge tower and it's all tagged up, like graffiti all over it. And it's been there for like 10 years unfinished. It was some company that like went bankrupt basically. But I was like, wow, I think it was $1 billion plan that didn't get finished. But these can be things big and small, right? Whether it's a huge real estate company that never finishes a high-rise project, or maybe just be like, hey, I was planning on doing my homework and I just never got around to it. So again, we'll talk about some ways to get a little bit more organized to execute on the plan better too. Thank you, Genesis. Our last question here, which phrase best describes your problem-solving style? So how do you approach stuff? And Genesis, I'm going to let you select someone else in class who hasn't spoken yet. I think it's only been Camilla, so plenty to choose from.
Um, Ashley?
Ashley Menchu. For number three here, which phrase best describes your problem solving style? Can you see the options on the screen there?
No, I closed it. Can you please?
Okay. Yeah, no, I understand. I've done that before too. Do you like try to fix things real fast, like jump right into it, dig down into the root cause, or do you like kind of plan or just improvise and figure it out on the way?
For me, I stick to plan, but I feel like it depends the problem because sometimes I do improvise because sometimes it's like a last minute problem and I have to improvise. But usually I
Uh,
like to try to have a plan because I feel like problems they feel less intimidating when they're kind of planned out.
Absolutely. I love that last phrase there, right? It feels less intimidating if it's planned out a little bit. And I think I don't, if we cover this, maybe it's coming up actually, or maybe it's actually might be a level two, but kind of talks about contingency planning. So you're not maybe sure exactly what's going to pop up, but maybe some things you can foresee and kind of like have a plan B for already. And then, like you said too, some things are going to pop up where you just have to deal with them as you go and kind of deal with it on the fly. So I think maybe it's more in level two, but we'll talk a little bit more about that contingency planning, getting ready for the problems that arise. But whether it's planned ahead or not, we're going to talk about some of these problem solving, things that you can use for anything, whether it's something that pops up, maybe something that you can foresee for the future too. So thank you, Ashley. I appreciate it. I'm going to stop sharing on here and we will pop open the presentation for today. So again, we're going to be talking about problem solving here. Last week, we can just skip to the next slide. We know what this is already. Um, but we talked about taxes. I told you do not mess with the IRS. I told you how I lost some money, didn't file some tax stuff on time, get my refunds back. So again, if you got any money deducted from anything, you should file a tax return. Make sure, and if you didn't make enough money, they're going to send you some money back. But either way, if you're making enough money to pay taxes or to owe taxes, make sure you file them. By the way, I wanted to pause because I don't think I left enough questions or time for questions last time. But does anyone have any questions about either like the tax stuff or deductions or anything that we've covered so far? I wanted to make sure I leave some time for anyone to ask any questions if you have some. If you do, feel free to raise your hand digitally or unmute yourself, hop in at any time during the presentation, really. But I'll try to ask more if you do have any questions. Let's move to the next slide, please. All right. So what are we going to talk about today? Like I said, problem solving. The first thing is there's kind of a six-step process of identifying the problem, what are the possible solutions, testing them out. We'll talk about that a bit. The second thing on here is the 5 whys. And basically the idea behind this is that like whatever the problem may be, if you ask, oh, why did that happen? you might have kind of a superficial reason, but it might not be the true root cause of the problem. But if you ask, well, why did that happen? Why did that happen? Why did that happen? By the time you ask 5 times, you'll have basically kind of figured out what the root cause is. So that's the basics behind that. We'll talk about it as we go through. And talk about a growth mindset, right? So coming into it with the right mindset that you can solve the problem, keeping an open mind to possible solutions, and kind of, explore your creative thinking. What are really all the different ways to address this issue? So let's go to the next slide. We'll talk about all these things as we go through today. So actually, you can pause. Actually, can you go back and just do the define the issue part? And actually, I'm going to ask you all before we get started, can you drop in the chat, please? How well do you feel that you are at problem solving when problems pop up? Like a 10 is like, I have mastered this. 1 is like, oh my gosh, I have so much to work on. I'm stoked we're talking about it today. Maybe you're somewhere in the middle of 5, but go ahead and drop in the chat. I'm just curious, where do you think you land on this? And I'm mixed. I think it depends what kind of problem. But for me, I'm going to say like a 7 to 8, maybe. Okay, we'll see what everyone puts in here. Got some 7s, 5, 6, 7, 6, 6, 7, 5, 7, 6, 7. Okay. So it looks like most of them around 6, 7. I didn't even realize I said that until I said it. A bunch of you are 5, some a little bit higher. Okay, cool. I just want to get an idea of where everyone's at, so we can kind of gear towards that. So mostly 6, 7, 6, 7. Okay. Number 1 step, defining the issue. What is the actual problem? I think some people are like, I used to have this friend actually in college, and she was like, oh my gosh, everywhere I go to work, like should get a new job, she's like, I get in a fight with someone within the first week. And so I was like, well, what's the problem? And she's like, I don't know why these bees are always trying to act up and like fight with me. And I'm kind of like, that's crazy because I've had so many different jobs and I've never gotten a fight before. So number 1 is defining the issue. What's the actual problem that's going on? She honestly just had an attitude and wanted to anyone says anything to her, she wanted to fight them. So that's the real problem, right? Is defining what's first of all the problem before we even get down to the why behind it. Why is it that she'd actually get in a fight? Oh, it's because she would always talk, trash to everyone. Well, why is that? And there's a lot of other reasons behind it, right? Let's go ahead and click on the next thing on here. Step 2. And I think one of the examples in this slide deck is like, oh, you fail a math test, right? Like that's the first problem. But you can do this 6-step process to identify, and then we'll get into the whys in just a second. I'd actually rather use someone's example in the class. How about Alexa or Zate? Is there any challenge, let's say, that you've been facing, or maybe a goal that you've been working towards that we're going to break down using this 6-step process, this problem solving process?
I would say probably maintaining my grades to passing scores like A's and B's.
Okay. And I think this is a common thing is something school related. It's either related to specific grades. It could be specific classes. So I like this. So what's the issue so far? Have you not done that, or do you just want to make sure that you maintain it?
I think I just want to make sure I maintain that.
Okay. So if we go to the second thing here, develop options. It's like, okay, so now what can you do to make sure that you maintain those grades? Is it setting aside time? Is it focusing on specific classes? Is it joining a study group? Is it spending less time with friends? What are the options out there that you had to choose among, let's say?
I would probably choose staying after school for tutoring, like if I was struggling on any topics and stuff like that. And during class, ask questions to teachers if I was confused on anything.
Okay, so asking questions, going to after class group. So those are some of the options, right, that you could do. And it sounds like you've already kind of narrowed down maybe the things that you prefer to do. Let's go ahead and click on the next step here, please. And I think this is when to start to test them out. So I'm going to ask you, Alexa, have you tried some of these strategies out? Have you asked some of those questions? Have you gone to an after school kind of group?
Yeah, usually I always tend to ask questions in class if there's stuff that I don't get. Um And then it's usually like if I like really, really don't understand what's going on, then that's when I like go to tutoring instead.
Okay, so you've actually tested these out, and have they worked for you?
So far, they both have worked for me.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, let's pop open the next one on here. It's like step four, right? So it's like defining the issue. It's like, okay, you said, hey, I want to make sure I maintain these grades. You look at what's available, asking some questions in class. You can go after class. You decide those work for you, test them out. It's actually test options and then select the ones that work for you. So did you test anything else out, by the way, Alexa? Like, did you try
Um,
joining like a study group or something else, or like doing it at a different time that just didn't work for you?
no, I think those are like mainly the ones that I've like chosen to
Okay.
like test.
All right. So you selected it. Okay. So you've selected the ones that work. It sounds like you test them. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, this works. I'm going to do it. Let's go to the next thing on here. Okay. So this is an interesting one that I don't always do, but I think we've talked about in class. The more you write something down, it makes it easier to follow, to remember, to do, right? Just like having a goal. If you have like a long-term goal, a short-term goal, is actually writing it down so it doesn't slip away, kind of thing. Have you written it down, Alexa?
Yeah, I make I have like online planners where I like write my stuff down to make sure that like if I forgot to do something in class, then I have it set to like work on it after school or whenever I'm like available to do it.
Love it. Okay. By the way, I didn't prep Alexa on this. I just called her out. So I would love that she already has, I think it looks like at least five of the six steps already. So what is the sixth step? Yeah, thank you for the heart there. And go ahead and pop open the sixth one there. Is doing it. And I already heard you say that you've been doing this, right? You've been asking the questions in class. So this is kind of the full circle there is like, what is it that we're trying to achieve? That could be a problem. It could be a goal. It could be a challenge or whatever it may be. But thinking about all the different options that are available to get to that, test some of them out, pick the ones that work, write it down, and then go do it. So let's go ahead to the next slide. Thank you for sharing, Alexa. I appreciate it. And congratulations on already following all the steps. So this is your first online workbook question here. Which step do you think people tend to skip most often and why? We already talked about this in the poll, but go ahead and take a minute to write this down in your workbook. What cohort is this? Oh, I think it's all dropped in the chat right now. But make sure you fill out everything in there. Jay Martin, whatever cohort we are. Take a minute to fill this out so you get your points too. Then we'll chat about it. By the way, for all of you who do not have your camera on, Millie Rose, Valerie, Kimberly, Katia, Kimberly, Diana, if you could turn them on, that'd be fantastic so we can see your all faces. Okay, I think our timer went off there. I'll give you all a little extra time at the end, along with the survey, to fill out any questions you may need to follow up on. But I'm curious what people picked out here. Allison Pennell, what did you write for this one? What step do you think most people tend to skip when they're trying to solve a problem?
I put the first issue because I feel like people tend to not really reflect and on like themselves, whether it's like they're causing the issue or whether it's the things around you that's causing the issue. I think we just like go for the solution or just like try to figure out different ways to solve the issue.
kind of maybe jump a little too fast without actually thinking about what's going on. I appreciate that. Also, I like how you said, I don't know if it's like if someone else that's causing the issue or if it's, that person themselves. And I don't know if that was a tie back to my example of my friend in college who was just like, how is it that everyone wants to fight me? And I'm like, what do you think is going on here? But whether it's actually a physical fight or arguing, or I think in this case, it's just something that's constantly a challenge or something, a problem that I think it's good to look internally too. And it's like, oh, maybe something that I'm doing, maybe at least has some interaction here. By the way, Allison, one more question, if you don't mind getting a little more personal. What do you think is the most challenging for you? Is it defining the issue, or is it maybe, I think for me, it's follow through. I don't mind like planning some stuff out and getting it, but then like finishing, making sure that it happens is tough for me. What about for you?
Mm, I would feel like for me it's coming up with the solutions because there's some problems that don't have or I feel like don't have any solutions. So I feel like
Mm.
it definitely like it would have to be coming up with the solution.
Okay, I gotcha. So like developing those options kind of like before even testing stuff out, it's like what even can be done with this? Actually, we're going to hit on some ways. It's like kind of like the creative thinking part of like thinking outside the box, maybe a little bit. If there is something you want to share that's hard that just has no solution, you can share it later too. But if it's too personal, I understand also. Thank you for sharing. Allison, why don't you select someone else that hasn't spoken yet today to share what they put on here too, please.
Um, I don't want to put anybody on the spot though.
Well, I'm putting you on the spot to select someone, so we're all stuck here, huh?
Okay, I'll choose Mariana.
It's okay. You're giving them an opportunity to share. So that's important too. Thank you, Allison. I appreciate it. Mariana, how's it going?
Um, for this one, I put to execute. Wait, no. I put to write down the plan because sometimes people, when they're trying to solve a problem, they just like go into it right away just to like get it done and over with, and they don't actually like think it through.
Absolutely. And I think honestly, writing down the plan, I think can help with all of these steps, like writing down all the potential options and then maybe circling a couple to test out. Right. I think the writing can be used, I think, in all of this. And as we've all learned, right, it's a helpful thing to make sure that the goal is achieved. Or can you remember what the goal was if you didn't write it down? It's like, oh, I'll just take this easier option or something like that. By the way, Mariana, do you write stuff down? Do you kind of like put it in your planner or something, or write it down somewhere else? Or what's the most challenging for you?
For me, it really depends. Like sometimes I do take time to write down the plan, but then sometimes again, I'm like just trying to figure it out or how to solve it. So I just like go through and I don't like take time to actually write it down, but I feel like it's something that I'm like trying to work on.
Okay, perfect. And I think these are, I mean, I do the same thing myself as like at least these workshops are good times to reflect on like, oh, do I do that? And I have my whiteboard back here, by the way, that I haven't been consistent about doing. So I was like, I need to write it down, but I got this like workbook thing or a little notebook. Does this show on here? Oh, it's like blanking it out. Oh, okay, here you go. But I got this workbook. So I just like write all this stuff down in here and just cross it off as I go. I found out that the whiteboard didn't work for me because I don't have anywhere to hang it good. And I was like, okay, I'll just keep this open on my desk, do it every day. So again, find what works for you. Problem solving is different for everybody, but these are ways to at least explore some options. Whatever doesn't work for you, find a way to make it work, right? So you can get to that end goal. Mariana, thank you for sharing. Also, I appreciate it. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay, we can do these one at a time. Actually, you don't need to click all of them at once. So this is an example that I think whether it's failing a math test or just some challenge in school, I think it's common that everyone's faced a little bit. So this is the example of the five whys. And again, the idea being if you ask, oh, why did that happen? Why did that happen five times? You get down to the real like root cause here. So again, this example, why didn't I fail or why did I fail my math test is I didn't study. So then the question is like, well, why didn't you study? And actually, I'm going to ask someone in here. You don't have to click anything yet. Kimberly Jimenez, what's maybe if there's a time that you ever didn't study, what's maybe a reason that you didn't study? Why?
For my AP Gov class, this actually just happened to me. We had a pop quiz and I didn't study for it because I was lazy and I wanted to be on my phone. And that really affected my grade because my grade dropped down to a B. And I think the reason why was because I had too much temptation around me. Had I been focused and actually took the time to study because I knew it was important, I would have passed.
So you've already asked some of these whys. It's like, oh, why is it that I didn't study? It's like, okay, I got these distractions around me. Why do you have those distractions around you?
I guess because I get a notification and then I check it and then after that I just forget, oh, I have to do something. So I just go on my phone. But I think if I were to have silenced my phone, I would have paid more attention.
Ah, okay. So now we're getting down to kind of like some of the like I don't know if you say want to say root cause or root solutions. But I'm going to ask you one more why. I don't know if we're at five yet. Why did you not silence your phone? It sounds like you know that's how to make the notifications not pop up, correct? You know how your phone works. So what happened? Did you just forget or like why did you not?
I guess I was just waiting for like my friends to text me so that we could catch up like after school. But honestly, I never put it like on do not disturb unless I'm going to sleep because it's just a habit for me to get notifications and then just jump on my phone.
Ah, okay. So there's a couple whys there, and one of it is like, oh, you're waiting for a text, to go plan some stuff. The other why is you never do it at all. Like you never silence it, right? It sounds like. I'm not good about it, and I also kind of mix my personal and business all on one phone, which makes it more complicated. But I appreciate that. It sounds like you already thought about some of the whys, and then as I asked more, and more, it's like, oh, okay, well, so there's something now. Do you want to put it on silence or on silent ever in the future or not? I think is another question. I'm kind of curious.
I do. I started doing it after I didn't pass my AP Gov test. I
Oh, really?
had
Oh,
to.
okay.
I had to because I know if I didn't do it now, I wasn't going to do it in the future.
Okay, perfect. All right, so there is some change coming, and I think that's part of this process, right? Is asking those whys. And actually, the YC staff, you can go ahead and click through all of these. I think we kind of covered this idea, right? Is just asking, okay, then why did that happen? Why did that happen? Why did that happen? And by the end, you're kind of getting down to a root cause and a solution potentially. Is like, oh, okay, well, I never shut it off, and it's like, oh, okay, well, now you're seeing the impacts of that, and now you know also what to change. So thank you for sharing your personal example. Again, it sounds like you already thought about all of this and took some action to address that kind of root cause, root solution, I would say. So congratulations on taking that step also. And what this kind of reminds me, and maybe Kimberly, I'll ask you, I don't know if you like, have you heard of this five whys or how did you come to like this conclusion that, okay, maybe I'll start silencing my phone so that I don't get distracted. So, even though I'm tempted, well, I should be studying this stuff.
I just seen it like a constant habit, and my mom was the one who told me like, "Oh, you're always on your phone. You're never doing your work." So I guess hearing it from someone else made me realize that it was getting to a point where I needed to stop.
Okay, so you got called out on it, basically. I gotcha. That's happened to me too. Um, and I guess more specifically though, so like, how did you? And, well, because basically, you figured out, okay, well, that is the root problem. So I'm gonna stop this time. And it doesn't have to be someone else. It's great to have people around you that'll point stuff out too. But again, these techniques, asking, those six questions of the problem solving, and then going through these whys is one other way to kind of get to that same conclusion, even if you don't get the feedback from someone who cares about you. Um, so I think that was a great example. Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate you sharing. I want to hear from one other person because I think it's great hearing your all's like challenges. Okay, what pops up? I think this is a very common issue also, Kimberly. So let me ask someone else. How about Caitlin? What's maybe like a challenge you faced recently or a goal that you have for the future that you kind of want to like break down or get down to the root of what's maybe stopping you from achieving it or slowing you down?
A recent challenge that I've been experiencing is like my grade for AP cybersecurity. I think the problem is that I literally don't study for that class, so like my grade is tumbling. But I started to study a lot more at home and in school when I have the time. So I'm seeing some improvement from that.
Okay, nice. And actually, I'm going to pause a little bit and ask you a couple like questions about this because I mean, it sounds like your first thing is like, oh, okay, I didn't study enough, which is very similar to what's on here, right? And maybe there's probably different answers maybe you have, but why didn't you study? Like, were you busy with other classes? Were you spending like time with friends? Was it just like we just heard, maybe too much time on the phone or distracted?
Yeah, I haven't had the time because I'm more focused on prioritizing my AP Lang class because I feel like it's just more important than AP cybersecurity because cybersecurity is more lenient and more flexible than my Lang class, my lit class.
Okay, perfect. And you already asked or answered the next why, which is like, oh, okay, I focus more time. Then it's like, and then you answered another why. It's like, oh, I focus more time there. And it's like, oh, okay, well, this one's less stringent. So I'm going to prioritize the one that's maybe a little bit more strict or whatever it may be. So you obviously answered all these questions as we went down. And I appreciate also that it sounds like you've thought about this already and like, okay, here's how I got to prioritize things. So thank you for sharing that. And again, just another example of asking those questions of why, if you're not sure, to get down to that root cause and kind of root solution, because you're going to have to ultimately prioritize your time at some point. I think that's good for this. Why don't we hop into the next slide, which I believe is our workbook question. And so this is just kind of what we've been talking about already, is a problem that you faced recently, or it could be a problem or a challenge. But talk a little bit about going deeper into that why. Has there been a time when you maybe didn't get down to the root cause and didn't really fix the problem? Or if you did ask those whys and get to, you can share a little bit about that. So go ahead and take a minute or so to answer this question while we play some soothing background jazz. Smooth jazz. Okay, hopefully that was enough time to fill it out. If not, I'll give you a little bit more time later too. Let's see. We're doing pretty good on time here. Let's ask a few more questions. Who have I not called on yet? I'm gonna go all the way down to the bottom. People who are hiding out with their camera off. Melly Rose, what's going on? Can you hear us there? Can you talk okay? If your microphone's working, what'd you answer for the
Yeah,
question?
can you hear me? Sorry,
Yeah,
my laptop is glitching earlier.
no worries.
A problem, well, what I wrote down right now is the problem that I was facing recently was the day before Monday because I had a FRQ practice then on Monday for AP Gov and I was deciding whether I should study or not and I didn't end up studying, which resulted in me like being less prepared, but it resulted to me like studying in the morning before class.
Okay. So
Yeah,
why didn't you study originally?
because I was kind of lazy.
Just kind of lazy. What did you do instead?
Yeah. Instead, I played Roblox.
Roblox? Okay, so maybe
Yeah.
just wanted a little bit of downtime.
Yep.
Why were you playing that? Just like is it just to distract yourself? I was gonna say,
Just to
are you
distract
tired?
myself.
Or is it just like mentally tired? Or just yeah,
I
we're
just I just distracting myself.
okay. Do you not like that class, or is the homework just a pain, or is it?
Just homework is a pain. Like I don't like doing it.
Oh, okay. Is it all homework, or you just this class in particular?
Just all homework.
Oh, okay. Okay. So maybe it's kind of like an avoidance thing is like, okay, I don't
Yeah.
want to do this. So to be honest, I was some work I needed to get done for this conference that I have coming up, and I was just like dreading doing it. I started cleaning my house instead, and cleaning my apartment, which I hate cleaning my apartment. And I was like, oh, at least I'm doing something productive, even though I was just really trying to avoid what I was supposed to be getting done. So I don't know if it's the same for you, but again, it's kind of like asking that why. Or you go ahead, you unmuted yourself. What is it for you? Is an avoidance thing
Nothing.
for
I
you?
was just gonna say the same thing for me. Like I feel
Oh,
the
okay,
same
cool.
way.
Okay. It's kind of like, I just really don't want to do this. Like something else to kind of take the mind off it or occupy time. So good. Again, just asking those whys until you really get down to the root of the problem was the main goal here, and I think we've done that. So let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay, and you can go ahead and click all of these up here. I think, part of it is just finding an approach that works for you personally. Again, we talked about these 6 steps. That's one way to kind of address, an issue or create a plan for it. Asking those 5 whys can help you get down to the root kind of problem or solution. And you can use those 6 steps to kind of go through it, get some potential options, write them down, try some out, see what you want to do, write down a plan for the future. But it's going to be different for everyone. So you want those critical thinking skills and also that kind of like creativity and open mind, I guess, about what potential solutions will be. And I'll give you an example actually. So, I'm doing this real estate conference. I was talking to some people. So I got another sponsor. I think I told you all my first sponsor, 24,888. It was great price. I was talking to some other potential sponsors. Actually, one hit me up and she's like, hey, I'd like to be a sponsor. Send me the thing. I sent it to her. The cheapest one was 11,888. And she's like, hey, I'd love to sponsor, but I only have $5,000 budget for this. And, can you give me maybe a reduced package or something like that so we can sponsor it? And I'm like, I don't really want to do that, but also I could use the $5,000. I don't want to turn her away. And I was just going to say yes to her. But my buddy always reminds me, he's like, hey, you got to negotiate a little bit and find like some win-win for this. So I know she doesn't have a big enough budget. And I said, hey, well, do you have something else maybe you want to trade? Like some kind of experience. She's a pretty wealthy real estate investor, maybe like a vacation rental. And she's like, actually, I have a 1 week stay at a 4-bedroom house in Park City, Utah, is like kind of near these ski resorts and stuff. And it's right after my conference. So my girlfriend and I can go take a 1 week trip in this beautiful spot. And so that's an example of a little bit of creativity. I could have just said, yes, 5,000 is fine. You can pay less than everyone else, but receive the same thing. But then next year, she's going to want to pay less too. And she knows I'll just take it. So instead, I'm like, okay, well, let's trade something, right? That was a little bit of a creative solution. That's a win-win. So now she knows she still has to like, come up with something. I got a free week stay in Utah that's probably worth, I don't know, probably be $1,000 a night to rent this place. And I got to take my girlfriend on this sweet trip for something I negotiated by thinking outside the box, right? Being a little bit creative. So that's maybe a different challenge or problem that you might face. But the point being is like, it's not just a yes or a no, or this will work or won't work. It's kind of like, well, what are the possibilities that would make it work? And then kind of narrowing it down from there. So that's my example on a creative solution. In a week and a half, after the conference, I'll be flying out to Park City, Utah. Um, so some other stuff on here, old solutions don't always work for new problems. I want to ask first, does anyone have maybe like a creative solution that wasn't obvious at first, or maybe they like came up with something? Can volunteer. I'm still gonna call on some people too, but how about Brianna Corral? Can you like think of anything maybe you've seen or maybe that you've come up with yourself where it was like, maybe two people arguing over something and you thought of something different, or maybe just kind of like this third perspective, something creative that made it work or overcame a problem?
Honestly, like I don't think I have seen something like that as of like right now.
Okay. And I'm kind of putting you on the spot, maybe not such a great example as me, squeezing this sweet vacation rental out. But just like as an example, like I've seen sometimes, and I think someone was sharing earlier, is like two people maybe are arguing about something. Actually, this could have been a different class I was teaching, but like if you've ever seen two people arguing about something and one person has this perspective, the other person has this perspective, and maybe you kind of see like another perspective where it's like, oh, I can see what they're saying and they're saying. Or maybe two people arguing about like a place to go eat because this person wants this person wants that. And it's like, oh, well, there's this third option that maybe fits what everyone wants that they hadn't considered. So I think that that's just a little bit of an example maybe of trying to get a little creative to find a solution that fits everyone's goals, even if it maybe wasn't obvious in the beginning. The last thing on here is you don't have to fix everything at once, right? There's some challenges that are going to be bigger than others. And like someone gave an example that's like, oh, like my grades are way down here and I would love to get straight A's. But they're like, it's overwhelming and I don't know if that's realistic. It's okay. Not every problem has to be fully solved. But what are some steps at least to move in the right direction? Right? So don't get overwhelmed by a bigger goal or a bigger challenge that you have. At least get started and move the right direction on it. With that, let's go on to our next and last workbook question here. And this is about solving some maybe bigger challenges or bigger goals that you have. How can you break those down into kind of some smaller steps or some smaller chunks to get towards it? So I know I gave this example before of like, how do you eat an elephant is like one bite at a time. But if you do have that goal of, maybe a certain GPA or something that you want to do after you get out of high school or a certain career you want to get into, how do you break that bigger goal or that bigger challenge into some smaller steps? Go ahead and take a minute or so to answer this and we'll come back and talk a little bit about it. We're actually going to do some breakout rooms too. I'm going to have all you student leaders lead the breakout rooms and have the alumni in there with you in case you need any support or have any questions or anything else. But go ahead and take a minute to answer this question, please. Oh my gosh, Sophia, cutest baby over there. Okay, everyone. Hopefully that was enough time, but like I said, I'll give you a couple more. Sophia's carrying around a little baby. I was like, oh, hey. So for this, we're actually going to talk about this some more, but I wanted to give everyone a chance to talk about this for a little bit in the breakout rooms. And again, the main goal is I try to, oh, your niece, so cute. I have a couple nephews and a niece too. It's so fun visiting them. So basically give everyone a chance to speak. I can't always call on everyone in this group in the limited time that we have to talk about so many different things. So we are going to pop into these groups. Again, the student leaders will lead them. The alumni will be there with you. And also, for any of you who are not currently a student leader, you are so welcome to join the ranks and help with some of these breakout groups, and we'll just kind of rotate, right? So if everyone's a student leader, we'll just kind of rotate who does it. So we'll have the link at the end of this class. I can see some of you out there. I can just see in your eyes you want to be a student leader. Alexa, Allison, I see you. Brianna, I can tell. I can see. For some of you, I can't see because your video is not open, but that'll be popping up a little bit later. Why don't we actually do this? Because I want to leave time for everyone to talk when we get back. We're just going to do a quick one in here. Let's say 4 minutes to break out into these rooms, give everyone just a quick chance to kind of share maybe that bigger challenge or bigger goal and how they're going to break it down to get towards solving that problem. So we'll go ahead and do that right now, and we'll meet back up in just a few minutes. Go ahead in 3, 2, 1, go. Hey there, Will. Can you put the presentation up for the workbook question? You're broadcasting your desktop, it looks like, into the, or whoever. Yeah. This is being broadcast into the rooms rather than the workbook questions from the presentation. Prepare concept plan for San Lucia requirements, finalize employment details for certain duration for the work, all this. Thank you. So getting down to basically the root of the problem, I guess, like, and we talked about some of these strategies to get there, right? It's kind of the whys and things like that, but can be several different approaches. Thank you. Appreciate you sharing that, Ashley. Elias, do you hear the same, different? What was going on in your group?
Well, pretty similar. Just like most of the students in my group basically said that they were struggling with like homework. And
You're muting yourself off and on there, Elias.
sorry, it's because I had a situation come up. Um,
Okay.
Basically just like most of the students said that they were struggling with like different classes and subjects in their classroom. Like specifically someone said about like chemistry that's sometimes they don't understand, but what they do is they either go and ask like their classmates for help, or after, like as a last resort, if they don't get like the explanation through there, they can also go to like tutoring with their teachers and things like that.
Okay, nice. So some of these strategies for the problem solving, right, is kind of exploring what options are out there. Ask some of the fellow classmates. Maybe if I need to, go in and ask the teacher directly or go in and after the class, and then kind of test out and see what works, right? So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Jenny, Cacique, what was going on? Same, different in your class or in your breakout room, I mean?
A lot for about school in the school area. So like missing assignments, trying to understand um, like classwork and homework, I guess. And then another one specifically was scholarships, trying to find scholarships that you're eligible for.
Ah, okay. So with both of these different issues, were there kind of some ideas on how to either break down the problem or approach kind of solving it?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of stuff?
Uh, for the missing assignments, one of the students said that she wanted to go from the easiest to the hardest so that when she gets to the hardest ones, because she knows it's gonna take more time, to like have days to do the easiest ones. So I guess you have to do maybe like 1 or 2 days for the easiest, and then for the hardest, maybe like take longer days for that.
Okay, so get started with the easy stuff and kind of like build up into these harder ones later in the week. Make sure like save some time. I like that. A lot of it, honestly, is organizing, planning, and I think that can be challenging too. So thank you for sharing, Jenny. About Genesis, what did you hear in your group? Was it mostly school stuff? Was it something different?
It was just mostly school stuff. They were just talking about how like they were trying to understand the subject and just mostly just saying that they were gonna like break it down by like asking for help or tutoring or just like doing some work like separately and then trying to understand the concept so it wouldn't be that hard.
Okay, so doing some studying, potentially tutoring. And again, this kind of reminds me of the six-step process. Like, okay, what's the issue? I need to work on this a little bit more. What are the potential options? What works for me? And it sounds like a lot of similarities throughout the groups. So thank you, Genesis. I appreciate it. Camilla, I was actually, if you want to share real briefly, I know we're just kind of running short on time a little bit, but did you hear something similar or different in your group?
Yeah, in my group, some of us, we had in common that we needed to clean our rooms, and and it's like even though it's like something like very like minuscule or like something that should be done every day, it's like it could be hard for us to like do it commonly or do it regularly. So during your breakdown,
Absolutely. Yeah, I just shared that myself. I was like trying to avoid my work so much, I actually went to clean my place, which I hate doing. But again, it's like, why do I hate it? It's like, okay, this kind of stuff has like always bugged me. And honestly, I lived abroad for years in like hotels where someone else just cleaned up. Oh my gosh, we got more youngins popping up. Hello, Elias. Um, Thank you again, student leaders. Again, if anyone else wants to jump in to be a student leader and share like this in the future, ask some questions in the breakout rooms, it's a great way to step outside your comfort zone, get to try something different, and kind of get used to talking to people and asking some questions. So it's a great experience for the future, I think, no matter what you're going to be doing. Let's go to the last slides here, please. So next week, we're going to be talking about becoming a decision architect. Basically, don't let life happen to you. You decide what it is that you want to do in your goals and build a life that moves towards that. Let's go to the next slide, please. That's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to give you all 90 seconds or so to complete your workbook. So if you did not finish any of the questions, go ahead and wrap them up. There's a survey in there, whatever you liked, whatever you didn't like, love me, hate me, whatever it may be, go ahead and put it in the survey so we know how to do better. And I think some of you have completed this already. I'm going to check in on it. Oh my gosh, 20 out of 24 of you have already submitted this. Fantastic. All right, so whoever the last four of you that have not completed this, make sure you get it done. You're already here learning, participating. At least you get some points. Thank you for asking, Caitlin. Actually, can you stop the music, please? You champion staff. Because I didn't go over that. Actually, can you go back one slide, please? I did kind of skip through this because we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about it next week. But Basically, okay, so nudging, like you could think of it just like nudging, like one of the questions is like, oh, okay, what's this like nudging idea? And just like nudging something like nudging a child closer to something that maybe you want them to do. It's kind of like pushing your life, your goals, your decision making to get closer towards that long-term goal. So these positive nudges is like pushing yourself towards that. And just an example, I'm going to tie this back into what we're talking about. If your goal is in the future to be super successful at a career and make a bunch of money, it's going to be important for you to be able to step in front of groups of other people. I'm tying this into the student leader thing here, by the way, in the breakout rooms. But if you want to be able to be successful at a job, at interviewing, at potentially rising to be a manager, or if you want to be an entrepreneur at a company, you got to be able to talk to people, ask good follow-up questions, get down to the root of the issue, just like we do in class, and just like you will do as a student leader in these breakout rooms, being able to ask these good follow-up questions and get down to like truly what are we getting at. So I would say the nudge here would be if you want to do something like that in the future, make decisions that nudge yourself towards that long-term goal. So maybe talking to people in that industry, maybe joining as a student leader in this link that we're about to drop you so that you're more familiar with talking in small groups, with asking questions, with meeting people. But to nudge yourself in your decision making towards your ultimate goals. So thank you for asking that. And that's a little bit about nudging. Again, we'll talk about more about it next week, but I always appreciate the questions. Let's go to our announcements, please. And actually, does anyone else have any questions before we do the announcements? Because I don't always pause to leave room for questions, and I apologize. I'll be better about that in the future. But the last couple things on here, there's an Ignite session coming up. The speaker is to be determined, but they're always good. A lot of times an entrepreneur, usually someone like crushing it. So great spot to learn, earn a few extra points. The second one in here is the student leader forum. Again, if you haven't been a student leader yet, it doesn't mean you can't start today. So who's coming with me? And actually, I'm not going to be a student leader. I'm already leading this thing. Who's signing up though? Help out with the breakout rooms. Put yourself in a position for success in the future. Allison, it looks like you're nodding your head yes. Is that a no? Sorry, I have a hard time discerning between up, down, left, right. Alexa, you're in? All right. Can you fill out that form? It's in the chat right now. Okay, and we'll make sure we swap out so that everyone gets a chance to do this. Dana, Brianna, Diana, Dulce, Caitlin, Kimberly, who's in? Who's joining? Is that it? Dulce, are you nodding yes? Okay, Dulce, can you fill out that link? And actually, YC staff, can you make note of anyone who so we can make sure we follow up with them next time? Who else was nodding? I saw Dulce. No? Dana, where are you? Okay, I'm just like looking through everyone here. Mariana? Kimberly? Okay, anyway, feel free to sign up. I just like to, call out people individually. I appreciate you all participating. Thank you. Go out and solve all the problems. Feel free to hang out if you have any questions. If not, have a fantastic night. I appreciate you all. Thanks again for sharing.
I have a question about the Mustang experience.
Yes.
I never got the email with the voucher code on it.
Okay, so you filled out the form but did not receive any email. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Chris or who do we got on here? Will, do you know?
Yeah, for this one, Allison, we can go ahead and just follow up regarding that one. But have you submitted a health form regarding that or not yet?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no worries. I'll go ahead and just follow up with the staff that's assigned for the Mustang experience, and then we'll just make sure to give you some updates regarding that.
Okay, and you have her email or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, sorry about that. And I don't know what's going on, but they can follow up. If you're ever not sure, you can always go on that help desk thing.
Yeah, the
and
health
they can
form.
help you too. Or the help form, I'm sorry. Any other questions on here? I see Valerie Guzman and Garcia and Diana. Yeah.
For they sent me like a request for an interview for the YouTube, but when I did it, they showed up and then they left and then they left me hanging for the interview.
For what interview?
It was the YouTube interview. I don't know. They just said they had like a date set for me. It was like they showed up and then they left and then they never came back. My thing was from 6:30 to 7.
I'm not sure what this is. Will or Chris, do you know?
Yeah, actually, for that one, I am not 100% sure regarding what that is, but we can go ahead and just raise that concern. When was the interview, the scheduled one that you had?
It was February 6th, from 6:30 to 7:30, and the person they showed up. I was there at like 5:30 just to get everything set up for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came in. They said hi, and then they left, and then they never came back.
Okay, got that. So that's February 6th.